I had read George Orwell and Aldous Huxley. Colin had read Baudelaire and Dostoevsky. This is only a slight caricature. Yes, of course we were pretentious. What else is youth for? We used terms like Weltanschauung and Sturm und Drang, enjoyed saying, "That's philosophically self-evident," and assured one another that the imagination's first duty was to be transgressive. Our parents saw things differently, picturing their children as innocents suddenly exposed to noxious influence. So Colin's mother referred to me as his dark angel. My father blamed Alex when he found me reading the Communist Manifesto. Colin was fingered by Alex's parents when they caught him with a hard-boiled American crime novel, and so on. It was the same with sex. Our parents thought we might be corrupted by one another into becoming whatever it was they most feared, an incorrigible masturbator, a winsome homosexual, a recklessly impregnatory libertine. On our behalf they dreaded the closeness of adolescent friendship, the predatory behavior of strangers on trains, the lure of the wrong kind of girl. How far their anxieties outran our experience. One afternoon, old Joe Hunt, as if picking up Adrian's earlier challenge, asked us to debate the origins of the First World War, specifically the responsibility of Archduke Franz Ferdinand's assassin for starting the whole thing off. Back then, we were most of us absolutists. We liked yes v no, praise v blame, guilt v innocence, or in Marshall's case, unrest v great unrest. We liked a game that ended in a win and loss, not a draw. And so for some, the Serbian gunman, whose name is long gone from my memory, had 100% individual responsibility. Take him out of the equation, and the war would never have happened. Others preferred the 100% responsibility of historical forces, which had placed the antagonistic nations on an inevitable collision course. Europe was a powder keg waiting to blow, and so on. The more anarchic, like Colin, argued that everything was down to chance, that the world existed in a state of perpetual chaos, and only some primitive storytelling instinct, itself doubtless a hangover from religion, retrospectively imposed meaning on what might or might not have happened. Hunt gave a brief nod to Colin's attempt to undermine everything, as if morbid disbelief was a natural byproduct of adolescence, something to be grown out of. Masters and parents used to remind us irritatingly that they too had once been young, and so could speak with authority. It's just a phase, they would insist. You'll grow out of it. Life will teach you reality and realism. But back then we declined to acknowledge that they had ever been anything like us, and we knew that we grasped life and truth and morality and art far more clearly than our compromised elders. Finn, you've been quiet. You started this ball rolling. You are, as it were, our Serbian gunman. Hunt paused to let the illusion take effect. Would you care to give us the benefit of your thoughts? I don't know, sir. What don't you know? Well, in one sense, I can't know what it is that I don't know. That's philosophically self-evident. He left one of those slight pauses in which we again wondered if he was engaged in subtle mockery or a high seriousness beyond the rest of us. Indeed, isn't the whole business of ascribing responsibility a kind of cop-out? We want to blame an individual so that everyone else is exculpated, or we blame a historical process as a way of exonerating individuals, or it's all anarchic chaos, with the same consequence. It seems to me that there was, a chain of individual responsibilities, all of which were necessary, but not so long a chain that everybody can simply blame everyone else. But of course my desire to ascribe responsibility might be more a reflection of my own cast of mind than a fair analysis of what happened. That's one of the central problems of history, isn't it, sir? The question of subjective versus objective interpretation. The fact that we need to know the history of the historian in order to understand the version that is being put in front of us. There was a silence. And no, he wasn't taking the piss. Not in the slightest. Old Joe Hunt looked at his watch and smiled. Finn, I retire in 5 years, and I shall be happy to give you a reference, if you care to take over. And he wasn't taking the piss.